because I believe every woman has a story to tell. And we all have so much more in common than we think. These are the women next to me.
Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of The Women Next to Me. I'm Lisa and I'm super excited because the woman next to me today is Lydia. And Lydia and I kind of have a fun connection. She is, follow this now, ready? She's my brother's wife's sister, so my sister-in-law's sister. But what's even more special is that we have two daughters that are BFFs, according to mine. I don't know. They're BFFs. So her daughter Finley and my daughter Whitney are best friends. So it's kind of fun that when the families get together, all the cousins on both sides can play together and be together. So Lydia, do you want to introduce yourself and your family?
Sure. I'm Lydia, and I have been married to my husband Joe for 9 years now. We have 4 kids together. We have Ella, who is 7.5, Finley, who's 5.5, Autumn, who is 2.5, and then Parker, who is 7 months old.
The little man. I got to see him yesterday, and he's such a little man. So yeah, and Lydia also, she doesn't really want me to bring this up, but I'm going to. Lydia also runs her own video series. Do you want to speak just a little bit about it?
Sure. It's called The Fruitful Family, and I really just started it recently. And the whole idea of it is just to, help parents to understand their role in evangelizing their own children in the faith, and their role through baptism in being the primary nurturers of their child's faith. And so I kind of try to, give a little teaching lesson about the faith and how you can implement that in your own home and your families in helping to build up the domestic church.
I love that. So Lydia is she has a lot of talent in the realm of coming up with kids activities. Like she always has the most fun kids activities. And I always was I love seeing what she does. And then I try really hard to copy it, but it doesn't always work. But I love that she's combined 2 things that are really important to her. And that's her children and helping them grow and learn, and then her faith. And she's combined that into one thing. So I love it. And I will link that for anybody that would like to check that out. But so always to start, we talk about your go-to mug. And so do you have yours with you?
I brought it. This is from my husband's work. He just brought it home one day. I think it's a Yeti. I don't know. But it is my favorite because, like I said, I have 4 kids, and usually I start my coffee at about 5:30 in the morning. Then I have at least one of my 4 kids are up by 5:45 or 6. And so my coffee usually doesn't get fully completely drank until maybe like 8 o'clock, and it still stays hot. Like, I love it. Like, it's amazing.
And it looks like it can hold a lot of coffee too.
Yes. And so it makes me feel like I'm only having 2 cups a day. I don't know if it is or not, if it's more than that, but that's what I say.
I'm having 2 cups because this is my cup and there's 2 of them. I love it. Okay, so the whole point of this video series is to connect women with other women, and also everybody just has a story to tell. And I think that as we share our stories, we realize how connected we are. And you have an amazing story, and I want your story to be told. And I know that you might not agree with me because this is just your life and you're just living it. But I do think that you have something to maybe offer other moms that might experience this down the road or are, have experience with it now. But so you had 2 girls, you had Ella and Finley, and you guys got pregnant with a 3rd. Do you want to talk through that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So we had just Ella and Finley, and at the time, my husband was not sure if he was going to be sticking with his current job. He kind of was looking to switch careers in a sense. And so he had been thinking about that for a while, and it was about February, I think, of 2018 that he had decided that he was for sure going to do that. He was going to switch jobs. So he left his current job, and I at the time was a stay-at-home mom. And so here, we both are. He's looking for a new job, and I don't have a job. I stay home with the kids. And about 2 days after he made that decision, we found out that we were pregnant with Autumn. And she was just this, I like to call her this unexpected gift from God into our lives, because she truly is a gift. And just the ways that she has, the things that she's done in our lives, or that God has done through her in our lives. It's just incredible. So she truly is a gift to us.
Yeah.
She was an unexpected gift. And so, here were the two of us. We had 2 kids, one on the way, and neither of us had a job. And it took a while for my husband to find a new job. And I had ended up getting a part-time job at our church as an assistant in the office. And that was 15 to 20 hours a week. So I was still able to, be home with the kids for the most part. And I, through that, I started to run my own children's ministry called Moms and Tots, which was just like a group for mothers to come with their children to, hear faith-based stories. We would do crafts, like you mentioned. I, love the teaching component and being able to teach the faith to the little children. That's what Jesus says, is let the little children come to me. And I love to live by that. And so through that, just building this group of women in this community of women within our church and our faith. And so anyway, I had that going for me. My husband was looking for a job, and it was, I don't know, August, I think, or July, when I was about 31 weeks pregnant, and I was at work, and I had some spotting. And so I had called my doctor and said, okay, can I come in, check this out? That had never happened before with my other 2 pregnancies. And my other 2 pregnancies were very normal, and they were very easy pregnancies. And same with Autumn. Hers was an easy pregnancy. I actually had run regularly up until 26 weeks pregnant with her.
Yeah.
Was feeling good. So anyway, I made a doctor's appointment, and again, I was 31 weeks pregnant, and went in, and it turns out that they had suspected that my water bag had broken early. And so I'm in the doctor's office at Edwards Hospital, and he said, I'm going to send you over to the hospital, and you're going to, do one last test just to confirm that your water bag has broke. And so he sent me over to the hospital, and before I left, though, he said, and just so you know, if your water bag has broke, you're not going to be coming home from the hospital until your baby's born. Okay. So I called my husband, and we went over there, and sure enough, the test showed that my water bag had broken, and that I was going to be on bed rest, and they wanted me there in the hospital on bed rest until 34 weeks pregnant. If you go past that amount of time, then there's a higher risk for infection. And so they want to deliver you by 34 weeks. So that was the goal, was to make it to that 34 weeks, which is why I was on bed rest, being monitored in the hospital.
Well, and so scary, because 34 weeks is already so early, but then to have that be your goal, I'm sure that was this whole other set of fear.
I had a strange peace over me. My sister, as you know, Hillary, your sister-in-law, had gone through the whole NICU experience, and she was such a blessing in my life to have her to just guide and pave the way for me in that, and knowing what exactly to expect and the roller coaster that it is when your child is in the NICU. And so she just was, a blessing in that sense. And I also had that faith community, that God had surrounded me with, just that, we had a meal train set up, and within literally 24 hours, 2 months worth of meals were just filled for our family. People were coming over to our house and, grocery shopping for my husband, clearing out our fridge for him, doing laundry, whatever it is that he needed done, to help him out, to be able to care for, our family, and to be able, at the time he was working an hourly job just to kind of fill the gap while he was looking.
Yeah.
And so he was busy as well and trying to take care of the kids and bring them to see me. So it was kind of cool to see how everybody came together for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It truly does take a village in times like that. So, okay. So you're in the hospital, 31 weeks, on bed rest. What next?
So during that time, she was doing really well. There was a couple times where her heart rate would drop when I would have a contraction. And so that was something that was a little bit of concern to them. They did a lot of high risk ultrasounds on me, and nothing, was showing up. Everything looked great. And so, they induced me at 34 weeks. She, came out healthy. She was breathing on her own, which was a miracle in itself, because oftentimes they, when you're born that early, you have to be hooked up to oxygen.
Yeah.
She was so great. And then her main thing was that she had a NG feeding tube. So we had to, my husband and I actually had to learn how to feed a tube down through her nose and into her throat. Because she ended up coming home with one, and we would have to feed her that way and hooking her up to an IV machine. So we were in the NICU with her for 6 weeks, I believe it was. And during week 5 is when she was diagnosed with Down syndrome. So for maybe those of you who don't know, trisomy 21 is a type of Down syndrome that she was diagnosed with. And that is where, on your 21st chromosome, most people have 2 genes. If you were born with trisomy 21 or Down syndrome, then you have 3 copies of that gene on your 21st chromosome. And so it kind of alters different, things for your health and development.
Yeah. So do you mind talking through like maybe what things led to that diagnosis? Was there like clues that was maybe a thing, or did it kind of catch you off guard?
It caught us off guard a little bit because there was nothing. Usually on an ultrasound, they might catch something with the heart that could be like a flag. 50% of kids who are born with Down syndrome have heart dysfunctions of some sort, and they didn't catch anything like that on her ultrasounds, despite having all those high-risk ultrasounds all along. The one thing that the neonatologist noticed and the nurses noticed was the shape of her eyes were more of an almond shape.
Okay.
And that even we were kind of like, well, I don't know, because people in my family, so I have smaller eyes, and so I don't know, we didn't really think too much of it. Yeah. And it was kind of a thing where the doctors were going back and forth with whether or not we should do the genetic testing, because that was really the only thing that was like alluding to the fact that she might have Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. So we finally decided to do the genetic testing just to rule it out, and then it ended up coming back as her having that genetic disorder.
Yeah. So what were you feeling? What were your thoughts? What was Joey thinking?
I think we handled it really, really well, because I just, we came from a great place of faith, and especially I think that God gave me those 3 weeks in the hospital where I had that silence to really, dive into scripture and to really just know those truths and know the ways in which that God is going to provide for us and our family, and to be able to reflect so deeply on that over those 3 weeks. It was truly a gift to have that leading into her diagnosis, and just to know how, whatever this is that we're receiving into our lives, that He's going to take care of us in helping to be the best parents that we can be for our daughter. And I try not to define her by her diagnosis either. Yeah, I just made a big point not to. She's a person, and she is a beautiful soul, and she just is such a gift to us that's her diagnosis is just not something that needs to define her life, and it hasn't.
Yeah, and she's probably one of the happiest little girls I've ever met. Like, she always has such a huge smile. Yeah,
she is the sweetest thing. I mean, she loves dancing, and her sisters. I mean, she's just brought about so much, commonality with our family. Like, just brought us together. I don't know if commonality was the right word, but she's brought our family together so beautifully in the way that we care for one another, and the way that she's humbled us so much into the things that are important in life, and the little things that we can celebrate with her and about each other. And she just has brought out such beautiful characteristics in her sisters also, just in the ways in which they care for her and encourage her, lift her up, and celebrate her and her differences and uniqueness. So it's really beautiful.
I love that. She does bring such joy. What are some struggles that she's had since? So she's, how old is she now?
2.5.
2.5. Okay, yep. So, because she shares a birthday with Lucy. That's our other. September 12th. So what are some other things that she's had to kind of overcome? I know she's in a lot of therapies. Talk to us about that. What's her day-to-day like right now?
So when she left the hospital, she had to see a cardiologist. A lot of kids with Down syndrome have several different doctors that they start off seeing in their first year, and you might rule some of those out. So she saw a cardiologist. She got speech therapy, physical therapy, developmental therapy. She had a feeding tube when she came home. She, what else? Had her hearing checked. So she sees an ENT, and she, gets her hearing checked every 6 months. She has classes, so she sees an eye doctor, someone to check her thyroid every 6 months. And so there's a lot of different doctors in her life and therapists in her life. We were able to have her discharged from the heart doctor, the cardiologist, so that was amazing. And so far she hasn't had a thyroid issue of any sort. So I would say that the main things for her right now probably are her vision, which, she seems to be staying pretty plateaued with that. It's not getting worse, and the glasses seem to be working for her. And then for her hearing, she's had tubes put in her ears. She's going to be having those replaced again soon, which again isn't a big deal. A lot of kids, who don't have Down syndrome get tubes put in their ears as well. They do have to be put under for that. So that's scary for some parents. But, and then I guess the other thing that's on our mind right now is maybe the potential that she could have some sort of hip dysplasia, which, would be indicating why she kind of tilts her head to the left. It's called torticollis. So yeah, but there's always something that, can be on the forefront of your mind and moving forward of what could be or what might be, or, it's just, you got to take those things and realize that those things are not in your control. And I think what I've learned is that I can take the things that are not in my control, that, I can give over and abandon to the foot of the cross, and just unite those things to Jesus' suffering on the cross and expect that God is going to use them for good.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of the way that we, take these things that can sometimes come as a hit to parents, like when you find out that something else, is going wrong, or some other medical issue. Yeah.
You guys, your faith and your positivity and like your joy through all this, like she is just joy. I can't think of another word to describe her, but like watching her dance and watching her interact with her siblings. So some people that have a child with high needs, like that's it for them. Like, and I understand that and respect that. And some, still continue to grow their family. So you guys have decided to grow your family and continue to do that. And so you guys have recently had Parker, who is so, so cute. And how is Autumn handling that?
She loves him so much. I mean, I have a video on my phone. The two of them love each other. They're pretty much the same size, even though he's 7 months old and she's 2.5. And so they almost look like they are twins in some sense. But they actually wrestle each other. She will go up to him, and I have this video on my phone, and she just body tackles him and gets him in a headlock almost, and he just takes it. He is like laughing, and like I'm like, you better be careful, Autumn, because when he actually like outgrows you, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen then. They are so sweet together. I love the two of them. I mean, I'm so glad that they're gonna, go up together. That's what her one therapist said, is that, they'll reach the same level, and then they'll go up in development, together, which is awesome. I mean, I could just see him taking one of his friends taking her to a dance or something later on in life, or him taking her to her first dance. So I'm so grateful that we have him.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What a blessing. I love it. Well, your family is just amazing. If there was a message that you could give to parents that maybe are going through this or will go through this at some point, do you have anything you'd like to share with them, or any last?
Yeah. I would just say to pray, because, prayer, what it does is it moves the hand of God to change your circumstances. And if your circumstances aren't going to be changed according to his will, then it's going to change you in the way that you view those circumstances. So just to keep that in mind, and prayer is so powerful.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sharing your story. Like I said, I think everybody's just connected in ways we don't even realize. And I know your story is gonna mean a lot to a person, and that's why we do this. And so thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for your beautiful family. And for Autumn, she's such a joy. So have a great rest of your day. Everyone, thank you for joining us.
Bye.